Alright, I'm back with more of the life and suffering of Sir Brante. So let's keep going. And with that, Chapter 1, Childhood, is done. On to Chapter 2, Adolescence.
I was growing up fast. The school, the streets, and the whole wide world awaited me beyond the gate of my parents' house.
Alright, thank you for that. Narration, animation. The channel is evolving. Chapter 2, Adolescence. You've lived in this world for 8 years now. As you grow older, life grows more complex. The world of your childhood was limited to your house and family, but now that realm is expanding. It also includes your neighborhood, the nearby houses, the streets of the ancient city of Anizote. A question now looms over you, growing more pressing with each passing year. What will your place in this vast outside world? Let me try that again. What will your place be in this vast outside world? Few people in the blessed Archnean Empire trouble themselves with this question. It's not within a man or woman's power to choose. Their destiny is predetermined by their birth and those who bore them. Don't remind me. And yet your peculiar birth has granted you a choice. Your father is a man of nobility, a worthy example in matters of duty and honor. Your mother is a commoner of lowly estate, humility and patience made flesh. And your sky is ablaze day and night with the light of the shining pillar, the beacon of the clergy. Your back bears the mark of the lash. Will you accept the drudgery and suffering that is the lot of the lowborn from your entire life? Or will you follow in the footsteps of your father and your father's father, and fight for the right to serve the empire as a noble of the mantle? Perhaps will you follow the twins' god's word and offer spiritual guidance to others? The answer lies out there in the vast, terrifying world. What awaits you beyond the walls of your home? I think I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do, and that is definitely the nobleman's path. Get out of this terrible commoner's life. Okay, so we have some new traits: nobility, ingenuity, spirituality, and willpower and deaths are back. We have some new bookmarks going on: relations, province, and map of the empire. There's the map. I knew there was a map. All right. Before we do that, let's give this a look. The province. So the overseer is Archduke Milanitis, Patriarch Photis. The overseer is in power. The old faith is the church. Security, not bad. Order and peace. Alright, here's the map. Really cool map. We are here in Anizote, in Magra. I'll look through all of these, and you can pause and look at them if you want. And then we'll go ahead and get on moving on. Little background story going on. Most of these places don't actually come into play. I don't think. Alright, relations. No relations yet. Fair enough. Alright, let's keep on moving then. The boy down the street. The family expects more and more of you as you grow up. The teachers and tutors hired by your father keep you on your toes all the time. Your life these days is dedicated to studying for your future, for the future of the Brante family. Your younger brother Nathan keeps growing up too. He can hold a conversation now. You never refuse him when he comes to play, provided you have a bit of free time between your demanding lessons. It is a rainy day today. Father and mother have gone to a ball, and they left Nathan in your care. You lose track of time over the books in the sitting room, and Nathan goes off alone to splash in the creek. Soon you hear his voice begging you to come outside. He is on the porch, sobbing, all covered in dirt. You walk up to him as he continues to bawl. It's all that kid. He pushed me into the ditch and called me names. He said I was a fancy pants fool. I said I'll call my big brother. He's still there. You have to go punish him, Angelo. Punish him, huh? Nathan points at a lopsided wooden house further down the street where the poor artisans live. You see two boys lingering there on the porch. They are clearly both commoners, but far from poor. One of them is almost as tall as Nathan, and he frowns in a funny way, just like him. The other looks older, almost your age, but he is more broad-shouldered and taller. His name is Thomas. You've heard it before. Thomas. There, Angelo, that's him. Nathan points at the younger boy and hides behind your back. Thomas grins and rolls up his sleeve to reveal strong forearms. He must have been helping his father with manual labor for quite some time. Yes, let's add slavery to the mix. Listen up, rich boys. We don't give a damn about you or your friendship. We don't let nobody call our home a stinking rat hole. Your little brother earned his ditch dive. Maybe next time he'll dress normal and stop picking fights with people who can throw him in the mud. Your hands clench into fists before you react. Nathan called them names first. No wonder they did the same. That's how it goes, but pushing your brother into a ditch is too much. Thomas stands tall and confident. He sees no threat in you. You're about to get ready for a fight when you feel a tug on your sleeve. You turn your head to see Nathan, the one who started this whole mess. This is quite the predicament you've got me in, Nathan. We won't be picking this option. You can resolve the matter peacefully. Say your brother is to blame. Or come at Thomas and give him a beating. So nobility, ingenuity, or spirituality. I have to say, this ingenuity sounds pretty good. He did call them names first. It takes you a few moments to compose yourself and quell your rage. Your brother has put you on the spot. He couldn't bring himself to apologize, and now you have to settle this for him. And how are you supposed to do that, pray tell? If you had done this, grandfather would have had you flogged, and father would have scolded you and given you the cold shoulder for days afterwards. You frown and ask Nathan to come closer. You address Nathan sternly. He told you these boys were to blame, but he was the one who called them names first. So how is this their fault? It serves him right. Next time he should watch his mouth. Your lecture sounds a lot like father. You think your tirade came out well enough. Nathan pouts, looks away, and furrows his brow. Still he nods. Thomas slowly shakes his head in disapproval. Then he bursts out laughing. To him, this is actually hilarious. Well, would you look at that? You're a right little nobleman. Are you going to push him in the ditch yourself now? His words turn your seemingly perfect solution into a repulsive absurdity. Blood rushes to your face. You step closer to Thomas and shove him hard. He jumps back, surprised by your assault. It takes him a moment to compose himself, but now he is ready. His fists cover his face, and he attacks you with a quick jab. Now it is your turn to take a step backwards. Whoa. Big punching noise is going on. Thomas does not resort to fancy moves, dirty tricks, or stupid taunts. He displays nothing but skill earned in many a street fight, and his heavy fists aim for your head. You keep dodging him again and again, trying to reach him. He takes a couple of glancing blows, but easily shakes them off. What a bruiser. You start swinging your fists with greater and greater fury. Your heart is pounding like a hammer. You see nothing but the foe in front of you. How much longer will this take? You're worn out. Your breath grows ragged, and your muscles grow heavy. But there's no way you can give up now. Nathan is watching you. Desperate and out of options, you swing and punch Thomas square in the nose, then immediately let his fist smack you in the temple. The blow rings through your head like a bell and blinds you for a moment. Right. The world swims before your eyes. You clutch at your head to get your bearings. Thomas is standing in front of you, blood dripping from his nose. You no longer want to fight it out, and it seems your opponent would rather end it too. But you keep standing there, eyeing each other angrily. Then, suddenly, you hear an angry shout right next to you. An enraged man in the craftsman's apron is shaking his fist. Thomas's face contorts in terror right away. It's my father. Run. The punishment for fighting is flogging, and the mere prospect of that makes you run like the wind. Thomas sprints in front of you. You dash across the rotten wooden planks in the back alley, up and over a lopsided fence, across a giant puddle in one leap, and then forward into the tall grass. You hide there and stay quiet. You hear no sounds of pursuit. You exchange glances with Thomas and start laughing. His laugh is loud and infectious, but soon he cuts it short and grows sadder. I'm going to get flogged anyways. My dad's always quick to give me a beating. And then he'll start nagging me about the lots and the prayers for days like he always does. Why do I always get myself mixed up in this? But fighting is the only way to prove you're worth anything, right? The adults didn't see you fighting, you tell him. All you have to do now is convince them you weren't. Nosebleeds happen, right? Mother gets nosebleeds all the time. Well, we could try it. Let's hope our little brothers don't tell on us. I'll talk to mine. There's a scratch on your head. Don't let them see it. Good thing I didn't hit you in the face. There, good as new. You assure him that Nathan will never tell, and in return you'll make sure he behaves himself so he won't get tossed into a ditch again. With that, you shake Thomas's hand. His handshake is as strong as you would expect based on his fists. You make your way out the tall grass. You need to leave before Thomas's father goes to your family and complains about you breaking your lot. You come to a realization on the way back. You had no idea the place where you were hiding even existed, and it wasn't too far from your home. Thomas smiles in excitement when he hears this. Oh, I know lots of places like that. I'll tell you what, if we get out of this mess today, I'll show you the way to the old wall. It's the perfect place to build forts. I dragged a bunch of wooden planks there. Too bad it's no fun to build all alone. My brother never helps. He just gets in the way. You emerge from the muddy back alleys, united by a secret only the two of you know. It seems you made a friend today. Excellent. Something's going right in this dreary world. A friend. Thomas. And we get +1 ingenuity. Alright, we have made a friend, a boy named Thomas. Okay, that took quite a while for the first encounter of Chapter 2. Riders on the road. It is blisteringly hot today, even for the sun-parched land of Magra. As soon as you are done with your studies, you dash outside, outdoors, and out of the stuffy room. You and Thomas roll up your shirt sleeves, but it barely helps. You would gladly go shirtless had you only been in the company of other boys. But there are 3 girls in the yard today. They are doing the laundry in a big washtub, whispering and giggling. If you could, you would gladly keep watching one of them at work. She has big eyes of deep blue. Her dark hair is braided, and her plain gray dress is mended and patched all over. Her name is Sophia. She throws her head back a little when she laughs. The rays of the sun are reflected in her eyes. You, Thomas, and the other boys keep telling silly stories, anything to make her laugh. You sure love telling tall tales, Angelo. Oh, I remember this one time. But then Sophia hears a voice calling her home. She nods to you and runs across the street, smiling. Her light steps carry her forward, but her eyes are looking elsewhere. But then a stone on the road catches her foot. She stumbles and falls flat into the dust. Oh, how clumsy of you, Sophia. The street starts shaking from the thundering of hooves. Riders appear on the road from around the corner. They bear a coat of arms you recognize right away. A sable serpent blade upon a field of vert. It symbolizes the Milanitis dynasty, the family of your Providence's Archduke. The horses dash forward. A lost wooden toy on the road cracks under their hooves. They will not slow down. They are the nobles, and the rest must make way for them. Sophia is in their way, just now starting to get back on her feet. Her mother is crying for her desperately from behind the fence door. You freeze in terror. The riders surely see the girl. Are they going to stop? Or are they going to trample her? In only a few moments, the beautiful girl will be toppled, trampled, and crushed. Stay where you are, or shield Sophia from the horses. So this will kill us. So, despite getting all those traits, I don't feel that's such a good idea. I think I will stay where I am. Quite a lot of galloping going on. You stand frozen by the roadside, unable to look away as the cloud of dust covers the entire street. You feel as if a massive, maddened beast whipped into a merciless frenzy has just passed you by. You hear no screams, no cracking bones, nothing but the deafening din of the hooves. Once the horses are gone and the dust settles, you can finally see the road again, and the repulsive blob of blood, flesh, and bone left on it. Wow. Yuck. You can see traces of Sophia in the mess, her dark hair, the remains of her dress, but it is no longer her. Sophia's earthly remains slowly dissipate and melt into the air. Her mother's eyes are filled with grief as she watches, but hunches over and slowly walks back into the house. You can still hear the riders far away down the road. None of them even bother to look back. Well, that's not very nice. Your friends walk away, at a loss for words. You make your way home, dazed by what you have seen. You are still dazed as you retell these events to Mother, unable to look up from the floor. After a moment of silence, she embraces you and calms you down. Poor girl, what a terrible, painful death. But you must know that it was not her true death. By the twins' mercy, we are all given enough time in this world. Should you die before your time, you will be brought back by their grace. For 3 times they will rescue you from a terrible fate, but the 4th death is true and final for all. Every loss of a life we were granted at our birth is a heavy blow to us, but the gods told us not to mourn a lesser death. Everybody will keep on living as though nothing has happened, even Sophia's parents. Their family is poor, and they have no family crypt like we do. When the girl's soul comes back to life, her body will be reborn in the city church with all her wounds healed. Do not mourn her, my son, but thank the twin gods for their justice. Okay, so now we have a little more backstory on this game. Everyone has 3 lives. How convenient. If only it was like that in real life. You see Sophia by her house a few days later, and she looks completely fine, without so much as a scratch. The other children tell you that her parents now forbid her to leave the yard after dying such an early first death. You call out Sophia's name. She looks at you briefly, then walks back inside. Sophia never talks to you again. Oh, it wasn't my fault. You tripped in the road yourself. Year 1128. Fall. Soil and gunpowder. Sophia disappeared after the terrible incident with the horses. Her friends gossiped that her parents sent her off to serve a rich noble dynasty. You haven't seen each other since that day, but you still remember Sophia's eyes, the sunlight shining in them. But no matter what, life goes on. You are 10 years old. Your studies continue, and you are learning more about the land you live in. Anazote is an ancient city in the imperial province by the name of Magra. All soil in Magra was turned to ash eons ago, scorched by magic during the rebellion of Duke Charmilonitis. The magical arts are all but gone now, but the scorched earth has remained barren and infertile ever since. Since then, the entire province has lain barren, tormented by cold and scorching winds in equal measure, with few precious plants taking root on their own. All fertile land in Magra is bought elsewhere and brought here by an endless caravan of carts and carriages. To pay for food and soil, the cities of Magra became skilled in many trades, primarily mining and digging for metals and stone. Last fall, there was an explosion just outside the city, followed by clouds of thick smoke. The first such incident frightened the citizens, but then explosions and smoke became an everyday occurrence. Soon everyone grew used to it. Father explains that the miners are using a new invention called gunpowder. It makes it easier for them to reach the precious stones and metals buried deep within the earth. Then one day, a thunderous explosion rocks the city, and black, billowing smoke covers the houses. People are stuck in their homes, all windows tightly shut. The air is impossible to breathe. Nathan coughs all the time. Gloria and you cough only when nobody is watching. If Mother hears it, she'll make you inhale those hot herbal vapors just like Nathan. We certainly wouldn't want that, would we? It takes 2 days for the smoke to disperse. People pour out onto the streets and to meet their friends. Thomas is eager to share everything he knows about the incident with you. They took lots of burnt-up people to the city temple. Mom told me. She was helping the healers. There are many rumors. Some claim it was the work of a beast stirred from its slumber, while others say it's the surviving witches that continue to threaten the order of the Empire with their accursed powers. But as for you, you patiently wait for Father to come back home, and then you'll ask him about it. Father spends day and night working at the prefecture, while Mother spends all her time in prayer. It takes a full week for Father to finally come home, and he's almost completely spent. You muster enough courage during dinner to ask him what happened outside the city. Father raises his head, his face is bleak, weary mask, and starts muttering his proclamation. It's almost as if he doesn't see you. It's the mine outside the city. They were trying to get to a vein of ore. There was an explosion, the mine caved in, the black smoke started flowing. Many workers died there. It was all because Count El Velasco, who owns the mines, wanted them to start mining the vein before they were ready. Some of the workers weren't even reborn. Perhaps the twins thought their final time had come. The prefecture had been inundated with complaints from families that had lost their breadwinners, asking the judges for help. Many people also lost their cattle to the black smoke. Count El Velasco blames gunpowder for the disaster. The prefecture and the newspapers just repeat whatever he says, but it's plain old greed and tyranny of noblemen that are to blame. Why is the welfare of the province always paid for with commoners' lives? Then, without warning, he grows silent again. You keep thinking about it for days. Can a human life really end so easily? A single moment of bad luck and you die, only to re-emerge from the temple or the family crypt with a new black mark on your arm. Or worse, you remain where you fell, dead, never to reborn again. Ever. Imagine that. Okay. Order has gone down, but wealth has gone up. Stephen's arrival. During lunch, Father tells you to stay home in the evenings and prepare to meet some important guests. Your elder brother Stephen will return home by dinner tonight. Joining him will be your grandfather Sir Brante, as well as a noble friend of the family. You are excited about your brother's return. It has been years since you last saw him. How has he changed during the years away from home? You and Father await the guests anxiously. The doorbell rings. 3 people are standing outside. Grandfather is the first to come in, naturally. He has not changed a bit since his last visit, still eyeing the house with contempt, looking for any reason to demean it. Grandfather is followed by a stately young man dressed in a jacket embroidered in silver, whom you barely recognize as your brother. Stephen casts a glance at your threadbare clothes, your dirty fingernails, and smirks. The last to enter the house is a personable gentleman with a worn-out, wrinkled face. You have heard a lot about this man from Father and Grandfather. He is Baron Augustin Elborn, Stephen's uncle, a family friend and the Providence's prefect, which means that he is the head judge and thus Father's superior. Sir Elborn smiles lightly and offers you his hand. And this must be the younger son Angelo. Yes? You have your father's eyes, young man. Father bows slightly to Grandfather and Sir Elborn, But there is a moment of quiet when Stephen's turn comes. Father reaches out to him awkwardly, expecting an embrace. There's a question in Stephen's eyes as he looks at grandfather. The old man shakes his head almost imperceptibly. We noblemen oughtn't put our emotions on public display, Father. Not even after a lengthy separation. There is no embrace. Instead, Stephen nods to Father curtly. He responds in kind, his face devoid of emotion. After the greeting, you proceed to the sitting room. Elborn is the first to enter. He kisses Mother's hand, and Gloria's too, and tussles Nathan's hair after he sees him hiding by the table. Grandfather acknowledges them with a glum nod. Greetings, Lydia Brante. I remember you were kind to me when I was but a child, and you must be Nathan. You could barely walk when I saw you last. Your elder brother ignores Gloria completely, not even a greeting. Okay. Well, that's rude. You proceed to the dining room in a dignified manner and take your seats. The dishes smell delicious, but they merely punctuate the overwhelming tension at the table. Elborn is the only one with a friendly smile on his face. The dinner is splendid, Lydia. Did you choose the dishes yourself? You have a truly refined palate. It warms my heart to know Stephen spent his early years with you. Womanly care always does a child good, no matter the estate. Your fork freezes in the air halfway to your mouth. You expect many things from a noble of the sword, but words of praise for a low-born woman are not one of them. You cast a glance at grandfather. He looks like he is about to choke on those words. It would do my grandson more good to stay at boarding school among his equals. Please, Gregor, parenting is no less important. Nothing can replace a mother's love. I cannot deny it. It saddens me greatly that my late sister could not be there to raise Stephen. But there was still a family for him, and he was surrounded by love. How could that be bad? And besides, his father was by his side all the while. A father's example is always the best. After all, Robert earned the judge's rank the same way you did. Your grandson will surely follow in your footsteps. And who knows, perhaps even the younger men of the Brante family will contribute to the... You clumsy, low-born cretin. Everybody is startled by this sudden outburst. Grandfather's face turns red. He is glaring at a young lady servant holding a pitcher over a glass. Stephen is sitting right next to her, dabbing a napkin on a fresh stain on his jacket. Begone this instant! The lady servant runs away, leaving the pitcher on the table by the door. After a quiet moment, Elborn smiles again. It appears the servant has left us. The servants have left us. Yet dinner is far from over. Worry not, uncle. There are enough commoners at this table to keep us served with food and drink. Stephen glares at Gloria across the table. She is sitting right next to you. She shrinks down and hunches over under his gaze. Father furrows his brow. Mother covers her mouth with trembling hands. Grandfather sneers. Stephen's gaze does not move. The silence lasts far too long. Then she starts to rise from her chair. If the Brante gentleman so wish it. Your hands clench into fists under the table. How can he bring himself to humiliate his own family, his own mother and sister like this? It is all grandfather's doing. Stephen could not even bring himself to embrace father without his permission. And yet they are noblemen, and they have the right to act this way. If there is any way that dinner can become even more unbearable, you do not want to see it. Wow. What an asshole. Okay. So we can insult him, make small talk over dinner, or join Gloria in her plight. Well, I'm kind of thinking that since I have 0 for willpower, I should probably get that up, so why don't we join Gloria in her plight here and get a +1 with her too. You rise from the table and help your sister wait on your family. You deliberate for a moment, then take a napkin off your lap and rise to join Gloria. A moment later, you hear the sound of another chair moving. Your mother joins you. The three of you now refill glasses, serve food, and clear away dirty dishes. Sir Elborn tries to make small talk with Father, but in vain, as he focuses his attention on Grandfather and Stephen. Grandfather is pleased to inform him of Stephen's achievements at the boarding school, especially his exemplary sword fighting skills. He constantly stresses the importance of your elder brother for the future of the family. You listen to him dispassionately as you continue serving new dishes to the table. As you wait at the nobleman's table, you, your sister, and mother never bump into each other. Your labor is impeccable. Grandfather could not have found fault with it even if he tried. Your shoulders and back are aching, but being a manservant inside your own house hurts even more. When the guests finally leave, Mother and Gloria embrace you with relief. You did not neglect your relatives and shared their humiliation, and the composure that you have shown gave them new strength. Well, that was rough, I have to say. What a terrible life for poor Gloria. Oh, here is our relations tabs. We have Thomas, Sophia, and Elborn. Alright, and with that, I think I will go ahead and call it here, and more to come. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. I love you. Not really.